First off, there's a tiny part of me which is a bit bummed because I'm sitting here. It's always you're paying a little bit more attention to what's coming next versus listening. But so part of my plan, sir, is to do more listening than speaking. So we'll change that around a bit and get to it quickly. We'll do a few minutes, with a set of questions that we believe everybody will be interested in. And then open it up for a few questions to the audience, and then maybe come back for a rapid fire if it at all makes you nervous. But that's how we'll run it. Thank you so much for taking out the time and being here. You don't do these very often, we know. So I hope you all are looking forward to this. The theme is consumer of the future, and we'll start there. A very quick anecdote though from me, from personal experience. Whenever we talk about consumer of the future, we're always talking about, the millennials, the Gen Z, what's happening with the 20-year-olds. But the interesting thing is, it's also the older set that's really changing. Big Basket changed my mom's life. She's 70 now, and she's been a very frequent customer for the last 4 to 5 years.
Thank you.
And I saw it change her life. So with that, how do you see, consumer behavior changing? It's evolving, of course. We've had a bit of an inflection point, especially because of the last few years. But what in your mind are, behaviors that we should kind of keep our eyes on and expect to see?
Yeah, thanks so much. Actually, I'll try and keep the answers as short as possible because I just believe that I think getting as interactive as we can is something that I like doing. So I think what's the change that I have seen over the last 8 or 10 years of running Big Basket and what I see going forward is that I think consumers are starting to become more and more aware. Okay, I think you have customers who are very curious. They're very aware. They are reading, simple example. I think we find people reading what's on the pack a lot more now. And we're able to figure that out, from what they do, on our site. They're becoming very, very health conscious, right? I think consumers are starting to see health and put health right up there, including the youngsters, right? We tend to believe that we see a lot of them in pubs and we see what they do, but they're all very, very health conscious now. And so that's why I keep saying reading labels, etc., is becoming more and more of a trend where people want to know what's there in that product. We have two types of consumers evolving. There are consumers who are very, very value focused, and that's the consumers that we've seen over a period of time, especially grocery, right? Grocery, I think the richest family in the country will want to know what the onion price is in the market and only pay for that as far as onions or potatoes are concerned. So there's one segment that will remain like that, will remain very value conscious. We'll keep looking at deals and prices that are there. However, a new segment I think is evolved and is there to stay, which is the convenience seeker. And the convenience seeker is willing to pay a price for convenience today, right? And the latest example that we've seen over the last 1 year, where we've seen this explosion of quick commerce that's been there, you will see quick commerce sites today, all of us, including Big Basket, which is our BB now, the price, there's no discounting there, right? Prices are today we can't sell above MRP, so prices are closer to MRP, prices are not discounted, one, and second, they're all paying a delivery fee, right? Nobody could believe that in this country anybody would ever pay a delivery fee when we started. Every order, there's a delivery fee now, and people are paying it. So there are convenience seekers who are there to stay, who are willing to pay a price for what they're getting, right? So that's the other thing that's evolving. And finally, I think, sustainability, environment-friendly behavior is what we are seeing. People trying to look at products which are more environment-friendly and making choices accordingly.
Great. And picking up from one of those, quick commerce, but even in fresh, kind of the challenges when you think about serving the customer in that manner, whether it's fresh in grocery or quick commerce, it really comes down to how one is managing one's supply chain, fulfillment, etc. And that's, it is one of those things that scares people, not just challenges them. And of course, Big Basket's done an amazing job of, doing that. So, in terms of how does one go about that, what are the challenges that still exist, challenges that tech might solve in the coming times? Just your views on or advice on that side of the business.
Yeah, sure. As we see quick commerce scaling, and that's what you started with, we're seeing explosion around the fresh space. Actually, if you see contribution of fresh produce on the quick commerce platforms, it's upward of 30%, right? If you see fresh on a normal e-commerce platform like Big Basket, it's upwards of 15%. If you see fresh produce in a physical stores, it's around 5%, right? So that's how the movement of fresh produce has happened going forward. The key about managing fresh and managing the supply chain is to get as close to the source as possible. That's the critical piece, right? And so very few companies I've seen have done that, and we've actually pride ourselves by having solved some of those issues as far as fresh is concerned. And so when I say get close to the supply point, is basically get as close to the farmer as possible in terms of procurement, right? So you don't expect him to come and deliver it to your warehouse, which is 100 kilometers away. So what we ended up doing, and what most fresh companies ended up doing, is setting up what are called collection centers, which are actually at farming locations. So we are about 3 or 4 kilometers away from where the whole farming belt is, and we have about 68 of them across the country, which actually supplies almost 90% of what we sell in the fresh produce business, which actually today is close to about 20% of our business. And so you can put those numbers together. Challenges are essentially two that we continue to find three actually. One is, we expect farmers to come and sell directly to us, which is what they do, right? And because of which they benefit a lot. They earn anywhere between 8 to 15% more than what they would have earned if they went to a mandi. So that's available to them. They get their money very quickly because we pay them day 2 and stuff like that. The important thing is they also expect you to pick up everything that they produce, right? So that they don't have to go to the mandi at all. And that is a challenge always, because the typical produce or the typical harvest has multiple grades in it. And so you will choose to buy one grade, which is what your consumers want. And so he will have grade 2, grade 3, for which he needs to necessarily go back to the mandi. And that actually doesn't help eventually, from his perspective. So what we did was actually started a B2B business, which actually was permitting us to get slightly lower grades, because they used to go into restaurants and they used to go into places, not because the quality is bad, but because they could be used for cooking right away. And so we could buy grade 2, grade 3. And that way, the yield from what we started of a farmer from 40-50% went up to 90%. So when it goes up to 90%, the farmer really benefits and the farmer is happy. But that's a journey that took us a lot of time to achieve. One. Second is, logistics is a big pain actually, from a farmer location to the warehouse, especially cold chain. A lot of these things have to come in a cold chain, and that's taken a lot of time to evolve. So we've struggled a lot around that piece. It's still not in place. So we find different mechanisms to make sure that we kind of manage that. But it's still a problem from that perspective. And finally, the location of the collection center is very, very critical. And that sometimes you need to having to move from one location to another, because the whole produce of that whole region starts changing based on climatic factors, based on what the farmer wants to harvest, based on what the farmer wants to do. So you may have to keep moving places to get what you want from that whole location. So these are some challenges that we faced, but this is the only way to make fresh work, is to get as close to the farming location as possible.
Right, so get comfortable with, agility and the fact that things will change, be ready and prepared. Great. One other question that often comes up in retail especially is private labeling. Whether it's a Nykaa or a Big Basket, whether grocery or other, how should one be thinking about private labeling? How would you, decide on hurdles or, just milestones at which it becomes, it starts making sense? And what's a good strategy there?
Yeah, private label is something that's very dear to us and very close to our heart, but we deal with it very, very differently from the way actually it's dealt with in the marketplace. And I'll spend a minute basically talking about it. Private labels are done essentially for two reasons, in my view, right? One is that it helps improve your gross margin, right? Because you're buying you're creating those own products and possibly even manufacturing it in the same place that a HLL or Unilever manufactures. So you get the benefit of costs there, and you're able to drive better margins. And second, I think, is you're getting your brand home, in the best possible manner. So every time there is a private label, there's big basket on it, there's a lady at home looking at it, so you get your brand home. In my opinion, I think there are two large reasons why people do it, right? We are very strong believers of not wasting time in doing private labels which are mass market products, right? There are the likes of P&G and the likes of HUL who have mastered this over a period of time. I don't think you will benefit at all by adding one more soap, a normal standard soap to your private label. Our belief has always been in differentiation, right? Create products which are differentiated so that you can play the market well with your private label. So we have this concept which is called EPIC. We call it EPIC actually. So there are 4 elements of private label that we've actually built. EPIC, E stands for emerging. So we look at actually emerging categories where we don't have too many players who have come in, but it's the future of possibly what that category is, and start investing into those products right now. So E stands for emerging. P stands for plethora, which actually we don't do much, which is the one I talked about, which is all the normal run-of-the-mill standard products which the consumer companies today are doing so well and doing it at scale. I'm not too sure by doing it you're going to get any benefit per se, but there are some products that we still get into. So plethora is one where we don't play too much, but we still do play. Third is what we call invincible, the I of EPIC. And invincible is this whole range of private labels that we build around general merchandise, right? So you have paper bags, we have a whole lot of cutlery, we have a whole lot of stuff where it's a market which is very, very large, but not necessarily very branded at all. So you can play a leadership role in a lot of those categories and become a leader there, in that space. So essentially it's general merchandise, which are typically the unbranded stuff, which is what we call the invincible. And finally, it's the category captain that we play in, which means that if there are only 1 or 2 large players in that category, build a private label so you can become a good second or third. Right? Snacks is one great example. You have Haldiram's, which basically drives that. You're possibly just one more. And we've built this whole range of tasties, big basket tasties, if any of you have tasted, and a wide range of products. And so we are a good number 2 in many markets, or a good number 3 in many markets as far as those are concerned. So we are, in a sense, category captains there with one leader, and we follow that. So EPIC has been a strategy. It's very differentiated. And what we don't want to do is plethora. And there's also a question of timing, right? I think, I think it needs scale. So you can't start life with private labels because, you'll never get the scale, you'll never get the price, you'll never get the cost. I think you need to reach a certain scale, which I think varies from business to business. We did it almost after 4 years, of our existence, where we could build certain scale that we could give to a manufacturer so that he would be excited to build those products for you.
Staying away from plethora itself is a very refreshing, to some counterintuitive point, but makes complete sense. That was helpful. Going back to tech a little bit, we were talking, we talked about strategy and getting closer to the source. But, if we come to other ways or means of building a moat, whether in terms of how you serve your consumer or how you service, right? Other ways in which tech at scale you see, changing how any of this happens for the better?
Yeah, actually, we use tech as an enabler, right? For us, tech is, we are not a tech company, but we become a tech company when we go and raise money so that you actually get some decent valuations, I'm told, if you're a technology company. But fundamentally, we are not a technology company. We are a retailer at heart, at core at heart. So merchandising, buying, my people who are on the field with the farmers, procuring, etc., is a large part of my organization. However, tech is a huge enabler for us. Everything we do in life is enabled by tech. Everything, right? So business intelligence, reports, a whole lot of stuff that we do is all tech enabled. I think going forward, we will see some very interesting stuff coming out of our tech stable, right? Predictive analytics, for example, right? I'll be able to decide how much to buy of what product every day, every hour, with every purchase order. that I raise, it tells me how much I should buy, right? Helps me manage inventory, et cetera, et cetera. So technology is key. We've actually also gone one step further and converted this into a moat, right? Which I think is a moat. And so because we built tech at scale right now, it runs millions and millions of customers. It runs $1 billion company, which is what we are today. So what we have done is put this product together and now built a SaaS product, right, around supply chain, which we are now starting to market and sell to companies to use, right? And the first company that you will see is Chroma, who's going to use some of this product. So we made it multi-tenancy, right, where you could have different types of companies who can come and sit on this tech stack and this tech platform that we built going forward. We've also done a lot of work around analytics, right, which helps us on the consumer space, on the consumer side, getting insights. So ChatGPT, less spoken about better, but we're trying to, put our hands into it and figuring out what is it that it's going to deliver to us. So there are going to be new things coming. Tech has been a huge enabler for us. Everything we do revolves around tech.
There's a question sitting there around how do you identify in time and then invest into that. But maybe what I'll do is maybe we can take some questions at this point and if you could just put your hands up if you have a question, we could take them. There's a gentleman here.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Vasanthia from Ariro Toys. My question to you is, given the competitive atmosphere, what are the top 3 non-negotiables to gain customer loyalty, which you follow in Big Basket, given your experience?
I have only 3 things that so the top 3 are these 3 things that I sleep with, I get up, wake up with, I started the company with, and I believe that, and the 4th is basically what it drives, is that focus on the customer, right? Building a customer-first organization is what's going to differentiate us irrespective of the competitive intensity, right? And that's something that we believed in. And the 3 things that we believe in that helps us achieve this, and there are very simple things, right? Very simple things. And these we have built global standards, and we've gone a few steps ahead, very difficult for people to catch up, and that's what keeps us away and keeps us differentiated from this noise that's there in the marketplace, and that will continue to keep us as leaders. First is a simple thing called fill rate, right? Fill your order completely. Customers coming to you to buy online so that the customer doesn't have to go to a physical store and buy. So if you miss one item, that customer has to go to the physical store and buy. And the problem when, and it's not true with Marico, but when you give an order to a supplier, you get 60%, 70%, 80% of what you ordered. And you are expected to do 100% of the customer. And this is what tech has done for us, actually. So we drive a 99.6% order fill rate, which is globally benchmarked the best, right? And this involved a lot of tech, lot of effort, lot of sweat over the last 10 years for us to get there. Second is on-time delivery, Indian conditions, et cetera, deliver on time, 99% OTD, which is again something which most people will find difficult to do because it's got a lot of work. And third is in stock. It's so irritating to see things out of stock, right? 93, 94% is our in stock, right? And only 5, 6% is out of stock in a 50, 60,000 SKU stack, right? These 3 things sounds very simple, but most difficult to execute in grocery. So if you stay ahead in these 3 things, you're ahead of the game.
Two mistakes that you feel were made and what we've learned from them.
God. So, I don't feel good about saying this, but actually, in the Big Basket journey, because I've been an entrepreneur since '99, and in the Big Basket journey, fortunately, unfortunately, we haven't made too many mistakes. So I'm not being, I'm just being genuine about it. And so otherwise, I don't want to create stories of mistakes. But had a lot of mistakes we made in our first journey. And I don't know, some of you may not even been, you all are very young, so may not be born also, or maybe you were. We started with a company called FabMart, which was India's first, online Amazon, Flipkart, right? Which was way back in '99. And we made a lot of mistakes during that time. And we took a lot of those learnings at that point in time. And it's a separate conversation we'll have. But frankly, in this journey, I can't pick those real three solid ones because we've had a great journey thanks to all those learnings. I'm being a bit arrogant about it, but...
Morning, sir. Morning. What percentage of FMCG do you expect quick commerce to settle at? And what would be the source of business, traditional mom and pop or modern retail? I'm Alok from 40 per beat.
Hi, sorry, I didn't get your second one, but let me try. Quick commerce, the fresh percentage is very, very high there. And I told you, it runs about 25-30%. Let me give you big basket numbers, right? Big basket non-quick commerce, my normal traditional business that, that we run. FMCG is about 48% of our business, right? With 15% as fresh. In quick commerce, fresh is close to about 30%, right? So that 15% actually comes largely out of FMCG, right? Because the staples, shares, etc., almost remains the same. It's about 30% in both places, right? So FMCG is that much lower because the focus on FMCG there is not laundry, is not the stuff that you buy for your pantry, for your stocking, right? And that's the behavior that one is seeing there, right? It's more beverages, right? It's more snacking. It's more stuff that people need immediately and quickly, emergency items, top-ups, etc., etc. So that's why fresh eats into FMCG there. So you'll see FMCG being close to about 30-32% there.
My question was the other way around. What would quick commerce's contribution to FMCG market as a whole be?
So quick commerce contribution today is, if you take, I'm not taking FMCG, let me just take the whole grocery, piece because we can calculate, so it's 50% is FMCG. So in the whole grocery space today, and I'm only right now talking online because that's where the space is, quick commerce is close to about 46%. 46% of my e-commerce space, right? And that's how it's scaled. However, I think what's happened in the last year is because of extensive marketing and huge amount of drive, you've seen this happening. But what will happen is, and I'm quite sure of this, a lot of people don't believe me, but we'll wait and watch what happens. I think it will settle between 25 to 30% is where this quick commerce contribution to the overall e-grocery space will settle in, because people will use it for the purpose they need it for, right? And the rest will be, your normal pantry, because behavior doesn't change, right? People are starting to try and change behavior. It's not working. So people are starting to switch back. We have both the platforms and we know how it's switching back, right? So I think 75-25 will be the split between pantry buying versus quick commerce. And that's what the share will be. But right now it's as high as 46-47%.
I'm Himmat Jain from As It Is Nutrition. My question is, where we have this Zeptos and 10 minutes, 15 minute deliveries, maybe now at 30 minutes delivery. So there is this gap of again 15-20 minutes. So what's the trade-off here between in terms of selection, inventory versus customer satisfaction? There's
no trade-off at all, actually. So it's the issue is that how much do you want to burn, and deliver faster, right? The economics just don't work at 15% and at 15 minutes and 10 minutes. It just doesn't work. Actually, it's a fact. I mean, I don't, I don't need to say this, but it's absolute reality, right? Frankly, consumers didn't want it either, right? It was just thrust upon them. And so if you give me something in 15 minutes, why not, right? But 30 minutes, 15 to 30 minutes is what a good, sensible business will make sense, right? And unit economics will make sense.
So does the order value goes up?
Order value remains at about $400, $450 in that range. So it doesn't change. Whether it's 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 5 minutes, 30 minutes. It doesn't change.
Thank you.
Hi, this is Salil from Super Bottoms. Do you see demand for discretionary items going up on quick commerce? Because we are seeing some uptick there. Products which are priced like 900 to 1,000 rupees, which people could have bought in retail stores or on Amazons of the world.
Yeah, I see the worry of, in these kind of products which are high in value is your ability to stock them in a dark store, right? Which is about 1,500 square feet, 2,000 square feet, right? That's the issue. And so a whole lot of these products have traditionally always been what we call long tail. And when I say long tail, I'm not saying, discretionary, right? I'm not saying they're important or unimportant. They form part of the long tail, category. And in a long tail category, delivering something fast is almost impossible. Almost impossible. The reason is that your ability to carry quantity there is limited, right? So you'll do, 1,500 square feet for an item like that, you'll carry 2 pieces. 1 piece. One customer buys it and you're done. Right? So it's extremely difficult to manage them, right? Unless size of warehouses increase so that you're able to carry more of those products, I don't see them happening.
It's more of a logistics issue rather than the demand.
Yeah. See, right now there's so much noise, right? So there's what's selling right now and what should be selling actually is something that will settle down over a period of time.
Hi, sir. My name is Archit Agrawal from SteamUp. I wanted to understand from you the future of big basket, e-commerce and quick commerce in tier 3, tier 4 cities. Where do you see it how quickly do you see it getting deep there? Because I come from a city called Aurangabad and I think e-commerce, quick commerce is still restricted to the big cities and the metros. But do you see a quick future there, or you think it will still take enough time? Your take on that? Yeah, huge future. I don't think quick commerce will scale that fast because quick commerce has a certain dynamics there which is required for unit economics to work, which means you need high density of orders. So it will cut off at some point. But if you see normal online grocery, right, will start penetrating. We started 8 cities 7-8 years back. We moved to 40 cities. This year we'll close at 70 cities, and we have a new model for T3, T4, which will move us to 400 cities. So the big basket model will scale. Quick commerce, without density, it doesn't work. Sir, a follow-up question just to understand specific big basket plans to take brands to these cities. What is the criteria with respect to volumes, or do you think you will give entry points to every brand? So is there a certain amount of SKU calculation that you have done or some formulas you have set for these 400 cities you spoke about?
No, so there is a criteria which we'll use. Obviously, we'll need to do some filtering, because people believe that in e-commerce you can carry endless, infinite SKUs. That's not correct. Because we finally have a warehouse, right? That warehouse needs to stock. So you can't have a warehouse space which is infinite. So there is some amount of filtering we do. And that each category, it varies. But, so we've also set up an accelerator program, for example, right? Where we are getting new brands, we work with them, BB Accelerator. So there are a lot of ways we want to get new brands in because we believe it's a win-win, right? We are offering customers something new. You have a lot of energy to drive that category for us, so it works. But there is always a physical space constraint, and it varies category by category. But answer is yes, absolutely open to add new categories and new products as we go along.
Hi, this is Sagar from Petal. I'd like to know what you see as the next 3 to 5 larger categories or growing categories across FMCG or grocery until, say, 2030.
See, like I was saying, right, I think a lot of these categories around, actually my colleague listed them, and I'm going to be maybe running out of time, but I'll tell you quickly some of them that we will do. So, vegan, right, I think we will see tremendous amount of movement in that direction. There is a lot of stuff going around cruelty-free, animal-free. See, they're all very small right now, but there is tremendous amount of consumer pull that will start coming for this. That's what I was telling you from that perspective. Health, anything to do with health, I think will start becoming more and more critical as we keep going along. Millets, green tea. Look at the movement already happening. The government is spending so much amount of time and money in just to move millets. Of course, there's a reason for it and a big, nice little story that goes back many years. Makhanas, we never thought of snacks that would be around something like makhanas. So you'll see a lot of health a lot of sustainability, environment-related products going forward that's going to hit the market.
I think that's a great segue and great timing. We're out of time. But that was wonderful. Great questions, hopefully helpful to everybody. And, you're there for a little bit at least. Thank you so much for being a great audience. And thank you so much for your time.
Thanks. Thank you.